Here we go. What are we going to say? What are we going to say about this Broncos team? Denver Sports Postgame Live. Cecil Lammey. Not going to lose my mind. I promise. Nah, I mean, maybe. I know that there are some of you that tune in just to hear me lose my mind. You may be happy tonight. You may be disappointed tonight. You're disappointed in your team. Who gives a crap how I react, right? It's how this team plays. And they played like they didn't want to be there. They played like, well, they played like they were disinterested, right? They played like they're weren't really that urgent. You know, they fall behind. This team's not built to fall from behind. And well, that's why I may look like that tonight. Broncos doing this, dropping the ball in a big way. Let's get this thing going, huh? Just rip the Band-Aid off. It's time to go. It's time to talk about the Broncos getting their ass kicked. The Detroit Lions hand it to them. The score 42-17 wasn't really that close. You know, this game got out of control early. It was 21-0 at halftime. You know, and there's going to be plenty of fingers to point. There's going to be plenty of thumbs to pull. I understand that fans are upset. They still control their own destiny for the most part. They're still in the hunt. You're still playing meaningful games around Christmas and all that. Be that as it may, this is disappointing to have this sort of effort. I think that's the main word that I'm going to use tonight. Again, I might get heated about this team. But also I'm just disappointed because it shouldn't have been like this. I predicted a Broncos win, but a close win. I think I had 28-27, something like that. Offense couldn't get anything done. Lousy performance by this Broncos offense. And they fall behind. You know, they're basically taken out of running the football, which is what they want to do, or use the dink and dunk passes to supplement the ground game. So you see the flaws for this team that are still there, that were still there during the win streak. It's just this sort of effort is disappointing. And again, I don't think they have to play perfect to win. I'm not saying during the win streak that they played perfect, but during the win streak, there were teams, Minnesota springs to mind, that stayed away from attacking the Broncos' weakness, which is run defense. And entering this game, I think I heard Matt Smith say it on The Fan. He's like, it's been a while since they've faced a backfield like this. Well, yeah, it's been since Miami. And if you look through the backfields they face, like I like Chicago's backfield, for example, but, you know, production, not potential. There's a lot of potential with Roschon Johnson or Khalil Herbert or Dante Foreman. With production, you have production with Miami with Devin Achane. You have production with Raheem Mostert. You certainly have production with Jahmyr Gibbs. Production with David Montgomery. Run defense is a problem for this Broncos team. And when you can't rattle Jared Goff, who didn't have back-to-back incompletions until the third quarter. And that's Jared Goff, okay? Not exactly a world beater. His QBR under pressure was 0.5 out of 100. It was less than 1 point. Like, you put him under pressure, and you get pressure, and to do that, you have to stop the run. Or else they can just run it down your throat, and then you adjust, and then you can't blitz, and then they hit Jameson Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. Coverage of tight ends is a problem. And I'm going to begin tonight's show with my first finger point. It's at myself. Anyway, you know, a lot of people saying on Twitter, which is the lowest common denominator, like, oh, you're going to say Super Bowl now? Well, when I say they're a legit contender, it's because if you get to the dance, you're a contender, whether you like it or not. When I say that Dallas, Philadelphia, the 49ers, and the Ravens would give this team fits, that's still what I believe. I mean, the Lions just lost to the Bears. Cowboys lost to Arizona, right? So, like, you know, and again, they're not in the upper echelon, but the way the rest of the AFC was playing, it seems like the Broncos could win a little bit more. Getting ahead of myself, because this is a post-game show, not necessarily reacting to the reaction of the reaction show. But I do want to bring that up because I know a lot of people are curious as to whether or not that's something I would still say. And I would say this is a hugely disappointing game. And this means that they're going to have to fight forever to make the postseason, have some stuff go their way. Win the next 3 is a must. Someone on Twitter said the Raiders would get them. I'm not going to go that far. The Raiders can get the Chargers when the Chargers have checked out and Brandon Staley gets fired. I'm not going to say the Raiders are going to be a problem at the end of the season. We'll get there when we do that pregame show. But I look at this game just disappointed. Disappointed because this isn't the Broncos that we've become accustomed to since the turnaround, since they got on the win streak. And people will say, Pat Mahomes had the flu, whatever. Michael Jordan had the flu is like the greatest basketball game of all time. Not really, but still, it was historic. I got the pair of shoes to prove it. But anyway, like, okay, you played Josh Dobbs, you played, Dorian Thompson Robinson or whatever. It's like, okay. But on that win streak, what teams didn't do is stick with the run. The Commanders gave you the blueprint for beating the Broncos, and they did it in week 2, and they did it when they were down by 17 points? The Commanders kept running. So the first finger I point, besides at myself, is at the inside linebackers. Alex Singleton is a nice guy. He leads the team in tackles. He also can't cover and leads the league in missed tackles. Josey Jewell, playing less, still a nice guy, fan favorite, sound tackler, but coverage has been a problem. Josey did play a little bit better. He's a little bit banged up this year, I believe, but like we've seen him play better in coverage. And well, today that wasn't the case. And that's why I'm disappointed, because this isn't the Broncos team that we have seen in recent weeks. You play who's in front of you, okay? For the crowd that loves to see the Broncos lose and then say, well, they didn't beat anybody and Pat Mahomes had the flu. If you're one of those people, okay, take your victory lap tonight and savor the flavor. This team still got 3 games left to go. We'll see if they can push for that postseason. But when we look at tonight's performance, it's disappointing because if you just keep running the ball, you're going to beat the Broncos. The blueprint is there. Jared Goff isn't a great quarterback. He looked like Joe Montana tonight. I wish I could rewind to last night because tonight's not fun. School of Mines didn't win the title in Division II. Broncos get their ass kicked. I mean, bad. And by a team that has their own problems. Detroit's defense is not good. You could muster 17 points. And I know you fell behind, and Detroit's offense in a way played defense against you because they forced you to be one-dimensional. This is all part of football 101. But I just go like, you're playing one of the worst defenses in football. You can muster 17 points. They're not even any garbage time points necessarily to be had by the Denver Broncos. Let's say if this thing was 42-24, 42-28, something like that, then you'd be like, okay, well, they had a garbage time, whatever. And they, Broncos scored 7 in the fourth quarter. Detroit scored 14. So you just couldn't stop them from scoring. You couldn't get yourself going. And as I mentioned, Jared Goff didn't throw back-to-back incompletions until well into the third quarter. That was their first drive of the third quarter. So the Broncos had driven there and got their score. And then the Lions got the ball back. And it was first time Jared Goff had 2 incompletions in a row in this contest. This just sucks. It sucks because the glaring problem of your run defense, your glaring problem of your inside linebackers is there. Okay, and Drew Sanders doesn't solve this. I'll look at the chat room a little bit later, but if anyone's asking, can Drew Sanders? No, Drew doesn't know what he's doing yet. Okay, I appreciate Sanders. I really applauded the pick. I like his game, but this isn't some fix where some rookie comes in for Alex Singleton. You're just going to roll forward with Singleton, and that's the way you deal. You're going to roll forward with Josey Jewell, and that's the way you deal. And then Drew Sanders is going to have to figure out if he's going to play on outside or play on inside. But either way, when he's on the inside, he doesn't know where to go. He's late to the play. He seems to be out of position. Rookie's head swimming. Let's just say that. The fixes aren't able to happen necessarily in the way that you would think. And, we've heard even Mike McGlinchey, who had a bad game. And again, playing a little bit banged up, he had to leave the game as a little arm thing or whatever. But McGlinchey has said this before as well. Like, listen, they're just not, the fix is everything's a fix for this team. Like, okay, maybe before that was the case, although the run defense has been a problem this entire season. You can't fix it now. You just have to deal with it and make sure you don't fall behind. Because when you fall behind, it promotes your opponent to run the ball because they've got a lead and they can just run out the clock. And it also makes your offense one-dimensional and your passing game isn't good. Russell Wilson, is not running the Sean Payton system. I don't know how many times I have to say that. And I understand, I had some YouTube comments are like, where's the proof that Russell Wilson isn't running Sean Payton's system? The proof is the dozen years in New Orleans with a completely different looking offense. Even if it was Jameis Winston, it looks different from what this offense is. So, like, there's your proof. And that's not hating on Russ. That's not talking down about Russ. That's just telling you what happened in this contest, what happened with these Denver Broncos, and what happened, on this game. It's trench work. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. I tweeted about it a little bit earlier, about this trench work, but it feels like the old Titanic. It's been 84 years. That's what it feels like when it comes to the problems on this Broncos inside linebacking group. They struggle to cover tight ends, and they're not as good stuffing the run as you need to be. Playoff football is all about running the ball. You roll into the playoffs, someone's going to run it down your throat, and it will work if you're Denver, unless you figure it out. Your offense can't fall in a hole, so that's the offense's problem. But your defense, you have to scheme it up better somehow, some way. You're turning Alex Singleton into a take-on downhill player where he's more of a chase player, sideline to sideline. Then you ask him in coverage. What was it? Khalif Raymond on Alex Singleton on one of those plays, and I was just shaking my head. I was like, what? How do you even scheme that up? That's just not a good plan. That's not a good idea. This was a showcase of two potential future head coaches, one who will be a head coach, one who may be a head coach. But this was Ben Johnson versus Vance Joseph, and Ben Johnson won in a big way, and VJ did not. I'm not going to call for VJ to be fired, although he may be fired at the end of the season, depending on what this team does. There's 3 games left. Okay, I'm not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I'm not going to fall for the emotion of the moment, even though I know, again, to repeat myself for the 17th time, yeah, some people like to see me lose my mind on these post-game shows. I got a lot of passion about this game. I think this Broncos team flipping sucked today. All right, and there's no way around that. Mama said there'd be days like this, and this was bad. This is bad because you were exposed. You were exposed for the parts that you were covering up for the most part, with your turnovers. You were exposed with your offensive line just getting pushed around. Russell Wilson didn't have any time. There were some poor play calls. I think this was a complete failure, other than maybe special teams. And I was at a public appearance, so I had to drive home and listen to her on the radio. Of course, dear friend Dave Logan does a great job. Rick Lewis there as well. But listening is different than watching. I'll have to go back and watch it again, and then I'll watch it again, and then I'll watch it again. But like, okay, other than special teams, I think this was a defensive breakdown. But I think offensively, putting Wilson in these positions where his timing was correct. And again, I was at a public event up at Twin Peaks in Broomfield, and one of my buddies was there, and he was like, Russ got to throw the ball. Russ got to throw the ball. Just throw it away. Just throw it at their feet. And that would draw a penalty. But like, it's not as simple as Russ got to throw it away. Russ got to play better. It'd be nice if Russ could throw to the middle of the field. It'd be nice if they could use more slants. But anyway, the play calls, though, that set up for these long developing routes, I know you're down 21-0, but you come out in this game and you're like wanting to set up these downfield routes that just, it's not going to happen that way. You need to draw play, screen pass, slants, outs, short stuff, dink and dunk, then break them. Once they're adjusted, you need to have some success on the ground game. Javonte Williams is not himself. He's 2-3 a carry. I think one of the greatest mistakes the Broncos could have made this entire offseason or even into the regular season before the trade deadline, the Denver Broncos' biggest problem is the fact that Javonte Williams isn't himself. And you're trying to run the ball with a running back that can't really run like he used to. It's nothing against Javonte. I feel bad for him. I'm happy that he's out there, but he's not the same. At what point does Javonte Williams end up hurting you? Alex Singleton and Josey Jewell hurt you on nearly a snap-by-snap basis. Okay? Again, nicest guys ever. Alex Singleton leads him in tackles, but leads the league in missed tackles and can't cover. I'm sorry, that's a problem. A lot of fans can see that, but there's still a contingent that's like, no, Josey Jewell's the best and Alex Singleton's the best. No, they're, average starters who you could replace. But now you've got Singleton signed for another year, so who the hell knows what happens there? A lot of stuff for the future of this team we need to figure out. But if someone wants to, and imagine what, let's say, Bill Belichick is thinking now with his Patriots career winding down, we just come in and hand it to Ezekiel Elliott 30 times. We'll see the health status of Ramondre Stevenson, but the clues are there. The cat's out of the bag, whatever you want to say. And honestly, it was the Commanders that showed you weeks ago, week 2, that you could run the ball on Denver and take them out of it. And so when you face teams, this is why I say Baltimore is a problem. The Broncos make the postseason. 1, if you make the playoffs, you are contending because anything can happen. 2, if you make the playoffs, you better be ready for playoff football, running the ball and playing great defense. They're not ready for running the ball or playing great defense because other teams can run on you. And part of great defense comes from the physicality of standing up tough against the run. Perhaps Kareem Jackson can help that upon his return. PJ Locke made some errors today, although I still do prefer Locke to Kareem Jackson. But if you come out against Denver, you can run the ball. They can't. Samaje Perine should be the starter. I don't know what it takes to get Jaleel McLaughlin going, but if they don't trust him in pass protection, it's just not going to happen for the kid. A couple of near big plays, probably should have called that one a touchdown that they didn't throw the challenge flag on, looked like he scored. But either way, Samaje Perine needs to be the starter. And one of the biggest errors that you made in the offseason and before the trade deadline was not adding another back. Dwayne Washington doesn't count. Tyler Beatty doesn't count. You could have gone out and gotten a Leonard Fournette, someone like that. I know he signed in free agency, so this was a while ago, like 9 months ago. But why didn't you consider Latavius Murray? Maybe Latavius didn't want to be here, what have you. But you had situations where you have some veterans that were out there, now no longer, that you could have added that could help you run the ball. You got to run the ball. This team can't run the ball. The Lions can do whatever they want on offense. The Broncos are like a turtle on their back when they're down 21-0. And I'd even put that number at 14-0. They're like a turtle on their back. And if you can't run the ball to get back in it, because as a team expects you to pass, they'll be playing off coverage. They'll be playing some sort of cloud or zone. Then you could run the ball. Soft zone, just run the ball. But you can't run the ball if Javonte's getting 2-3 a carry. You need to replace Javonte as the starter with Samaje Perine because Javonte's not himself. And Samaje is your best bet of what's available to you. You can't trade for anybody now. There's no one really on the free agent market that you could go out and add that would benefit your team. I'd have to look at practice squads to see if there's some practice squad player you want to pluck from another team. But either way, the pickings are pretty slim, and you could have seen this going forward. It was nice to see Javonte in week 1, but let's say by week, 5, you would have been like, oh, he's not quite himself. Let's go add another back. And then you keep him on the burner as the Bills, with Leonard Fournette, just keep him on the practice squad. And when you need him, you got him. Well, you don't have anybody. You're not going to Dwayne Washington. That's not an answer. Tyler Beatty's not an answer. I guess your answer is Samaje Perine. So here's some fixes. When players say, everything that we're doing wrong, we can fix. From an execution standpoint, that's correct. But from a personnel standpoint, it's incorrect because you can't. Trade deadline's passed. Other than plucking guys off the practice squad, which is cool. But again, you're going to find practice squad level talent or older veteran level talent on such a move. Like the fixes that you need are personnel. And that's where I point back to George Payton and I say, how many guys from 2022's draft are even, nobody's starting. Even if Nick Benito's healthy, that's just a rotational guy, a very good rotational player. Greg Dulcich can't stay healthy. We look at that just a draft a year ago where you should have some solid guys on the come up or future starters or guys you're looking to as future studs. I don't care if you didn't have a first rounder. I don't care if you didn't have a second rounder. I don't care about any of that. You can find quality talent, because I didn't even get to the two players that I always talk about that I don't want to talk about because then people complain. Don't at me, bro. I didn't say their names. You should know their names. But this goes back to the problem with this team this entire season. They have talent. They don't have enough talent. They do have some studs. They don't have enough studs. They do have some Pro Bowl type of players. They don't have enough. They do have some really good starters. They also have some really bad starters. And they lack depth because there's no answers. Alex Singleton is playing poorly. How do you replace him? You can't. Drew Sanders doesn't know what he's doing. Josey Jewell's playing less because you're playing Alex Singleton more. And Jewell's not necessarily an upgrade from Singleton. They're about the same, honestly. And Jewell was a little bit banged up or whatever earlier this year. Okay, how do you fix that? You can't. Javonte's averaging 3 yards a carry. How do you fix that? You can't. You don't have any depth. Unless you start Samaje Perine, which the results, okay, so he's not averaging 3 yards a carry. He's averaging 3.9 a carry, which is better, to be sure. But is this some great answer? I mean, listen, Leonard Fournette's not anything of what he used to be, but if you had playoff Lenny on this team, I would line up every game and go, Leonard Fournette, you're getting 25 carries. We're going to run your old ass into the ground because that's playoff football. And the Broncos need to be able to stop the run. That's what it comes down to. I have people tweeting at me saying, this one's not on the offense. Okay, it's on a lot of people. All right. It's not all on the defense. It's not all on Alex Singleton. It's not all on Josey Jewell. It's not all on Russell Wilson and his inability to run the Sean Payton system. To me, it's on personnel. It's on play choice. The choices of plays that they had for Wilson. Listen, Wilson's got to be better. I'm not letting him off the hook. I'm not a Russell Wilson apologist. That's the way it is. With Russell Wilson, don't have these plays that take forever to set up. And there are times, even on completions, there's a completion on the left sideline in the first half. Oh, I should have written down who it was that he made the completion to, but he created his own chaos. Russell Wilson is a chaos quarterback. Sean Payton wants a precision quarterback. Russell Wilson thrives in chaos, and at times, perhaps many times, he creates it himself. And he creates it, and it's either a bad thing or he creates it, and then, oh, wow, what a play. Yeah, but you created it because you weren't on time. You didn't see that receiver in the middle because you can't see the field. That's the problem with Russell Wilson. So I am by no means letting Russell Wilson off the hook. But damn it, the quarterback you have. The rush the Lions have. You got the home crowd cooking. Short stuff, draw plays, screen passes, hit them with it. Try to run more effectively, which they couldn't today. Their offensive line was getting pushed around, and then the Broncos defensive line was getting pushed around. But Sean Payton called a bad game to start. Start of the second half, he seemed to call better plays, whether that's a script before he goes pee and eats banana or whatever. But the second half start looked better than the first half start. And these long developing plays, you just can't do it. You have to set that up. You have to set up those long shots for Russ by dink and dunk, and dink and dunk, and dink and dunk. And now I'm asleep. And oh my God. And now the long shot. You can't come out having Russell Wilson hold on to the ball too long. He already does that by himself. You have to essentially, and this is why Sean Payton is fighting Russell Wilson. Bottom line, you trust Russ or whatever fans think of Russ, and you can go to the playoffs with Russell Wilson. You could win a playoff game with Russell Wilson. But at this point in his career, He's not going to be what Sean Payton wants. The fight you have with Russell Wilson is you have to fight him from his normal instinct of playing within chaos. So how do you do that? Russ, 2 reads and run. And they had been doing that. And that's what's frustrating. It seems like this in the damn Texans game. Every time they want Russell Wilson to do more, he can't. He simply cannot do more when you ask him to do more. So do what he can and deal with it. When you fall down 21-0, that's when he has to do more, and you just can't. You have to keep Russ from himself. Russ wants to hold on, and then, oh, here's the rush, and I can outrun him, and I can throw downfield. Like, that's fine when you were younger and could run better. But today, he needs to be on time. And if you watch his hitches, and again, I was driving back for the second half, so I'll have to go back and watch it. But watching his hitches in the first half, his back foot would hit. So the timing of the route is first hit, hitch, read. It's your feet are tied to your eyes and your arm. Your feet lead the way. So anytime you have questions about a quarterback, watch where his feet are. Where's his toe pointed, right? Does he have a little hop to it? Like, where are his feet at within the progression? So Russ would take his 5-step drop or even his 3-step drop. 7-step drops don't happen that much anymore. So he would take the drop and he'd hit that back foot. And when you hit your back foot, that means it's time to throw. And before he could even go to throw, the Lions were sacking him, hitting him, or flushing him from the pocket. So you tell me, Russell's got to throw the ball, but the design of the play is take 3 steps or take 5 steps and hit the back hitch. What's he supposed to do? Abandon his hitch? It's a 5-step drop, but I'm going to take 3 and I'm just going to bail on the play. Like, it's timing. The timing of your hitch, the timing of your kick step and your drop back are timed up with the routes that are going the opposite direction. So when you hit that first hitch, when you hit that back foot after your 3rd step or your 5-step, whatever, again, 7-step drops don't really happen today, but you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you get to that 5, you better throw. And when he got to that 5 and he'd go to throw, Russ was on time with some of his hitches and he was getting sacked. So is that on Russ or is that on the play call? That's a bad play call. All right. I don't want to get in trouble and do Aloha radio, but like, that's a dumb call. There were some dumb calls out there because you have these long developing plays that you merely don't have the time to execute. So short stuff. It may be frustrating. It may be boring. It may feel like you want to pull your hair out or, as Tommy Boy would say, drive your car into a bridge embankment. That may be the case, but what works with Russell Wilson? Having Wilson run these long developing plays only puts him in his head where he wants to create chaos. And again, at times he can thrive on chaos. He's a chaos quarterback. But at times he just flat out stinks flat out stinks when it comes to working within that chaos because he doesn't have the escapability that he used to. All of this is simple. And again, it sucks. Russ can't run the offense. That sucks. But you can win games with Russ. You just got to set him up and keep him out of his head. 1, 2, run. Russ, you're going to do 3-step drop. First hitch. As soon as that back foot hits, you better be firing. And if not, you're going to number 2. Make it high, low, and run. That's what the 49ers did with Jim Harbaugh. With Colin Kaepernick, they made it a damn Super Bowl. And would have won, except the lights went out because it's New Orleans. Like, God bless New Orleans. But, we got some power infrastructure problems down there. But, like, all Colin Kaepernick did was make a high read, make a low read on the same side of the field. Usually there's a drag route with Michael Crabtree. And then he'd take off to run. And Russell Wilson's not the runner that a young Kaepernick was. Russell Wilson's not the runner that a young Russell Wilson was. But damn it, that's what works. The Texans game, it didn't work going to Russ Moore. The Lions game, it obviously didn't work going to Russ Moore. And part of that is defensively because the defense made him have to go to Russ Moore. This game should have been running it down their throat and then getting after Jared Goff. You get after Jared Goff, you win. Now, the battle is always won and lost in the trenches. And this is just the 5th time this season the Detroit offensive line has had all 5 of their starters together. was it Ragno? I don't want to call him Ragnarok. Ragno came back as their center. You had Taylor Decker, who was a little bit banged up. He played out at tackle for this team. And like that showed you, and the Broncos 5 started, and McGlinchey a little banged up, whatever. The Miners play. I'm 30 minutes into this show, and I'm just getting to the officials. Okay, so I'm going to point my finger at the inside linebackers. They got to be better. Got to be better in coverage. Got to stuff the run. I'm going to point my finger at the ground game because Javonte is just not Javonte. So start P. Ryan or do something. You got to do something. Jumpstart that ground game. Point my finger at the coaching staff calling these plays for Russell Wilson. Just awful. Russell can't run those plays. It's not smart against a pass rush like Detroit, Hutchinson specifically. I'm pointing my finger at Russell Wilson because Russ, I mean, the chaos quarterback stuff, like that's a young man's thing. You're a veteran. Veterans, and for the play where he was hit and he fumbled early in the game, right? And my buddy that was with me was like, he's just throw it at his feet, throw it at the feet, throw it away, whatever. What he should have done, what Russell Wilson should have done, this is why you got to keep Russ away from his own head. Y'all remember the self-sack? How many times did Peyton Manning do that? He wouldn't even let you hit him. He'd drop back, it's not there, boom, he'd just fall down. Self-sack. Russell Wilson, it's not there. I can make a play. Then he gets hit and he fumbles and whatever. And again, these long developing plays, these are not smart play calls. It's not great play design. It's not what you want if you're the Denver Broncos. This is not what you asked for. This is not what you need. If you're the Denver Broncos, this is the last thing that you need, is this type of performance. So again, lots of fingers to be pointed, lots of things to point out on this team and say, you know what? The problems that they have cannot be fixed. They can only be covered up. And that is the truest of true stories. The problems that they have cannot be fixed personnel-wise. They can only be covered up. And when they are covered up, and when you play solid enough defense, when you do what you can for the most part to stay within a reasonable amount, then that's when you could actually have a little bit of success. That's when you can win. You're not set up to win to come from behind. You're not set up to win to have Russell Wilson lead the way with his arm. He can't do it. Okay? And that's just the bottom line. That's just the honest truth. 18 of 32, 223 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Yeah, you went to Russ with 30 passing attempts. You had 28 rushing attempts for 3 yards a carry. That's not good enough. Jewell, 2 for carries for 2 yards. That's not good enough. Javonte Williams, 2.3 a carry. It's not good enough. Samaje Perine, 6.2 a carry. He should be your starter. Jerry Jeudy, they tried. Most targets for anybody was Jerry Jeudy, 3 for 74, the big 40-yarder. It was exciting to see a little bit of a move, a little run after the catch there from Jeudy. Courtland Sutton does his thing, but this is the first road game of the season, I believe, that Courtland Sutton has not scored a touchdown in. You don't have a tight end. I feel bad for Lucas Kroll because he's inexperienced, and when you go to him, he'll drop it or he's out of position or whatever. Adam Troutman's, a blocker, basically. Brandon Johnson had a target, push out of bounds in the end zone, whatever. Marvin Mims, 2 targets, no catches. He doesn't run routes yet. This is why you have a personnel problem. You have a problem with your coaching staff trying to run things. Like, just don't run it through Russ. And again, 2 reads and run. Read high, read a low, same side of the field, so it's super easy, and then take off to run. And it's super simple, and it's super basic, and some would say it's insulting for a veteran quarterback. I don't give a flying you-know-what. Does it work? Do you win? That's the main question with the Denver Broncos, and the answer is no, they don't win. They don't win like this. This is a disgusting performance. It's a disappointing performance because you just let Detroit do what they wanted to you. I mean, what is Mr. Coach Klein, you got your manhood back. I mean, they just ripped your manhood away. Vance Joseph, Ben Johnson just ripped your manhood away. The Broncos defense, manhood gone. They took your will. Your opponent sapped you. They sapped your will. They got big plays on you. You couldn't stop the run. They have speed. The Broncos haven't drafted speed. They haven't added much speed. They do have Marvin Mims. They do have Jaleel McLaughlin. But look at the speed that the Lions were able to put forward with Jamison Williams when he wasn't banged up. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, who is incredible with his speed. He's their version of Christian McCaffrey. I said that on Friday's show, one of the shows I was on. He's their version of Christian McCaffrey. You can see it. He's not good as Christian, not yet. And he's in a committee with David Montgomery. He's pretty good himself. But, like, you can see it. You can see that McCaffrey-like ability from Jahmyr Gibbs. So speed kills, and the Broncos don't have speed. Their linebackers don't have speed. PJ Locke was out of position on a couple of plays coverage-wise. Again, I still like Locke long-term. Like, that's the thing. This is what you have to deal with. You know, for everyone, and this was my error earlier this year, perhaps multiple times, was expecting, better play from some of these players. They just don't have enough players. Like, I like PJ Locke. They need more players like him. They don't have them. I thought DJ Jones did some good things up front. Zach Allen is not as impactful as he's paid to be. Whatever you want to make of that. Jonathan Cooper puts forth great effort, but he was negated on some plays. Again, you're just pushing guys around. And you get guys on the linebacker level. Now, Alex Singleton's a chase guy he makes the tackle, but it's after an 8-yard gain. That doesn't matter. It's like when your safety leads the team in tackles. You don't want that. You want to stop him before he gets to the third level. Alex Singleton leads the team in tackles. Yeah. And he's dragging guys down after 8-yard gains. You need take on guys. You need physicality. People on Twitter have talked about the effort. Like, I didn't see the effort. Like, I won't comment on that yet. Again, part of the game I had to listen to on the radio, which is fine. It's actually kind of old school. It's kind of, it's nice. Although I, much prefer watching it because I get to look on me with my own eyes. I get to see it. I get to see the plays unfold. The coach's tape is better. So come tomorrow, I'll have access to the coach's tape and get to see where the safeties are and all those sorts of things. But, like, multiple problems. It wasn't just the offensive line. It wasn't just Russell Wilson. It wasn't just the running backs. It was the coaching staff. It was the play calls. It was Sean Payton. It was Vance Joseph. It was Alex Singleton. It was Josey Jewell. Like, the list goes on and on where you can point the finger at this Broncos team. This was a full team loss. Sometimes you lose and it's on the offense. The Texans game. You lose the Texans game on the last play because Russell Wilson throws another pick. Every pick has a story. I've already explained that. But, like, you can point to that game and say, okay, that's clearly on the offense. This game's on everybody. Everybody. Full team, outside of special teams. And again, I'll rewatch the tape and see what my true opinion on special teams. I didn't catch much when I was watching. Again, driving for about half the game. But still, like, this is a problem because it cannot be fixed by personnel because you do not have the personnel, because your GM has made poor choices. So there it is. Like, that's it. Do the Broncos make the postseason? Do they keep Russell Wilson? All this stuff for next year is next year stuff. All this stuff for the postseason, I know they've got 3 games left, and I know they must win all 3. You could have called this game a must-win. It'd have been nice if they had won. But all the next 3 are obviously must-win games. And it certainly didn't help with Cincinnati winning today as they're making a march with Jake Browning. So that was something to watch. Indianapolis winning today. So that was also something where it's like, okay, a couple of the teams you're vying for spots with got W's and you did not. This was a disaster day for the Broncos. Does it mean they absolutely suck and they can't make the postseason? Like, no, it doesn't mean any of that. It means they were exposed and their weaknesses were exposed by a team that has a ton of speed and was playing on a fast track. And that's not excuses. The officials suck. Okay. Every game, every week. I don't think they can find me like Andy Reid. Chiefs fans, take it on the chin. You finally get a call that goes against you and you cry and whine and complain. Like, Chiefs fans, give me a flipping break. Okay. You guys get calls all the time and choking up like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber, like all the time. You guys get calls all the time. Stop your bitching. Okay. The Broncos don't get many calls. The league doesn't like Sean Payton. Okay. Not revealing any sort of secret. The league does not like Sean Payton. Sean Payton is not going to get any sort of breaks. And if you are around the postseason or even in the postseason, you better watch out and better not cry, because what can happen in the playoffs is Kareem Jackson, or even on the road to the playoffs, Kareem Jackson could have a nice hit and they'll just throw the flag because of the reputation of Kareem Jackson and because the league doesn't like Sean Payton. I'm fully convinced that's what it is. And I'm not a Broncos fan, so you can't call me a homer or say, like, you're only saying that because you're a fan. I'm not a fan of the Broncos. Sorry, I'm not a fan of anybody now. And the Steelers are frauds, by the way. If anyone says you're a Steelers fan, well, the Steelers are absolute frauds. Even if Kenny Pickett comes back in week 17, Kenny Pickett at best is Derek Carr, and that sucks because Derek Carr is not good. Okay, David Carr would have been better had Houston protected him. Anyway, I digress. Getting off track. Talking about this game and this performance, again, disappointing for the Denver Broncos. No way around it. No question about it. And we'll see what they do from here on out. 3 games, 3 must wins, 3 situations where you find yourself with your backs against the wall. But they did this to themselves. And I'm not taking anything away from Detroit. Detroit obviously kicked their ass, okay? But they did this to themselves because they didn't make the personnel moves that you should have made when you should have seen Javonte's not himself. Our inside linebackers can't cover. I mean, not that Shaquille Leonard would be the answer coverage-wise, but I remember when I put on Twitter, like, hey, they need to go get Shaquille Leonard, and there were many people, and Twitter is the realm of the lowest common denominator. So I've always felt people that complain about Twitter because of Elon Musk, you haven't been paying attention. Yes, may I get more surveillance and censorship, please? Like, Twitter's always sucked. Okay. But I'm giving you an example as part of the conversation, but make no mistake about it. Before Elon, after Elon, surveillance, no surveillance, some censorship, all censorship, whatever. Twitter has always sucked. But on that thing that sucks, that only 4% of our audience uses, by the way, so I shouldn't even really talk about it. But the point is, what's my point? The point is, when Shaquille Leonard was available and I said, hey, they need to go get Shaquille Leonard, I had some people say, he's old. Have you not watched him play? And I don't respond because it's not worth my time. But I'm like, I chart plays for every team in the league. I know Shaquille Leonard's not what he used to be. And what he used to be was a freak inside linebacker. But he can still stuff the run. And he still attacks the line of scrimmage better than Alex Singleton. And lo and behold, who got him? The Philadelphia Eagles, who are in a Super Bowl window. So these type of moves, again, the Leonard Fournette thing. Fournette's been out off the market for a while, but like, he was available. Any sort of trade, like, you could have traded. What? Hey, what's that? Greg Dulcich is hurt again. 5th hamstring injury in 2 years. Let's go get a tight end. Like, again, these problems are personnel problems because you have a coaching staff that's trying to call plays. This is where I defend the coaching staff. Coaching staff had garbage calls today. No doubt. Garbage calls from the coaching staff, even from Sean Payton, smartest guy in the room. Just ask him. But like, you're asking the coaching staff who's trying to run plays for personnel they don't have. No wonder it doesn't work in a game where you're down by 21 points at the half. Football is beautiful in its complexities, but it's also real damn simple. Run the ball, take your opponent's will, play great defense, get after the quarterback. And you're going to win most of those games. Doesn't mean that's the exact blueprint to winning every single time, but you're going to win most of the games. Run the ball, play great defense, get after the quarterback. The Broncos didn't do any of that. And then when they're asking people to do more, they don't have the horses. They don't have what it takes, and that's personnel. And that goes back to George Payton, because you should have third and fourth year players and second year players that are like your studly studs. Instead, you have guys that like Greg Dulcich, you can't stay healthy. Caden Stearns, you can't stay healthy. Like you have all these young players, even Nick Benito, and it's not Nick Benito can stay healthy. So I'm not gonna, bag on him for that. He's a little banged up, whatever. But like, there you go. There's your playmaker who's a reserve, who's on the come up, and then he's hurt. So I'm not blaming injuries. I'm not even fully blaming the refs. The Quinn Miners call was so stupid. So stupid. And again, I'm writing about it tonight for denversports.com in my 3 observations article, but just a stupid call. The officials were stupid for calling Quinn Miners offsides. It's one of the most ridiculous plays that's out there, because he was like fully on the football and a helmet in front of the tackle in front of McGlinchey. But, our officials trying to send a message to the Chiefs like, see, Chiefs, it can be called on anybody. If that's the case, then that's stupid. That's garbage. You don't have to make any sort of case for the Chiefs. Kansas City, stop crying. Stop whining. You're embarrassing yourselves with all the Pat Mahomes post game. Oh my God, losing his mind, like, and not shaking Josh Allen's hand or whatever. Like the whole Andy Reid thing, like it's embarrassing. And if officials are actually thinking about, we have to send a message, if this is from the NFL, like we have to send a message that we'll call offsides on anybody, including a right guard. Say it with me. That's just stupid. So again, I'm not necessarily depressed about this game, although my demeanor may show as such. I've already told you before, I'm not going to let this team break my heart again. I'm not going to get an ulcer. Like, I swear to God, I was getting an ulcer earlier this season. I swear to the Lord above. I'm not going to throw up in my trash can here, although it's one of those basketball trash cans. So that'd be clean up on aisle 6 anyway. Like, this team has made me so sick to my stomach earlier this year. They went on the win streak. Happy about that. If you make the playoffs, you are a Super Bowl contender. There's not many teams that would be problematic for the Broncos, in my opinion, if they play the way they can play. They obviously didn't play the way they can play. So, and that's the thing when people are on Twitter, there I go talking about Twitter again. Like, you said Super Bowl. Yeah, because if they make the playoffs, you're a Super Bowl contender. Like, we got to stop pussyfooting around that and be like, oh, like, no, anything can happen if you make the dance. Now we don't even know if they can make the dance because they dropped the ball and didn't play up to their potential. Again, they don't have to play perfect. They haven't played perfect and they've still won. So you don't have to play perfect. They haven't played even close to being perfect game this entire season. They played about 75%. In their best game, they played about 75%. Against the Chiefs when they won, it was about 75% of their full potential. So it isn't they have to play perfectly and then they'll win. It's you just can't put yourself in that hole with this offense, with that quarterback. And with that offensive line, you can't be calling these long developing plays. So by the time your quarterback takes his final step, he's getting sacked. That's not on Russ for hanging on the ball too long. He's hitting his head. If Russ was dropping back and then, going out the back door of the pocket, which is what he likes to do, he likes to spin and roll. If he was doing that and then getting sacked, okay, that's on Russ. That's on Russ. But if he's merely hitting his back step and getting sacked, that's the play design. That's a lousy play design. Get it? Where if he does hit back and then, oh my God, I got pressure in my face, here's a little dump off. Here's a little screen, here's a little side pass, side arm, whatever. There's ways to adjust for that. The Broncos did not adjust. As I do on every show, Postgame Live here, denversports.com. I'm going to check out the chat room. Let's see what the chat room says. Runs with doobies. Now, do you run with doobies or do you have the runs with doobies? I don't want to be personal, but there you go. It's over. I don't think so. On the offensive offsides. Yeah, that was a dumb call. That was a bad call. Dennis says, bring the Mile High Magic back. We'll see what happens next week. Come out and see me at Mile High Station. I'll be broadcasting the pregame show. I think I'm doing it solo on Christmas Eve. So you want Christmas Eve, go to a Broncos game, stop by and see me. Then that would be great. 78 Leadhead says, Cease preaching tonight. Preach! I'm trying, man. It is very, very, very frustrating. And I agree here. Rico says, we got too happy with the passing after that first Jeudy hit, went away from the run game. It's frustrating to watch. That's the thing. Like, and I love that Jeudy play, the big 40-yarder. Like, that's what Jerry Jeudy needs to do. So I love that play. And then it just got him in this, like, we can pass. And it's like, Michael brings it up too. See, Jerry Jeudy, say it with me, everybody, because I know you've heard me say it. He needs to be a slant god. Slant god, Jerry Jeudy, just like Amari Cooper. I think Mace, who brought up Michael Thomas, he's not built like Michael Thomas, so that's why I don't go there necessarily when I talk about Jeudy being a slant god. But he could be the way the Browns use Amari Cooper, which may mean 7 for 70, or it may mean 5 for 140 and a touchdown. Like, that's, if he's a slant god, it gets him at his best. He's open early. You go to him early. It's a shorter throw. You got run after the catch ability. You've got some speed. Like, that's it, man. That's it. So here we go. Who would you replace BJ in the offseason? And if so, with who? Well, I'm not the biggest Vance Joseph fan. I think that has been very well documented. I will say, oh boy. Well, Dennis Allen's not going to get fired. I think New Orleans is going to keep Dennis Allen, but he would be on that list. I'm not going to Jack Del Rio or anything like that. Let me think about that, because my easy answer when the Saints were stinking up the joint was like, just go get Dennis Allen, but that's not going to be the case. Eddie, my man, Eddie, what's up, Eddie? Broncos still make the playoffs. I like that, Eddie. I like that. Let's go Broncos, man. Like, that's the thing. And Coco, one of my favorites right here. Need more playmakers. Church, right? Some people say preach. My buddy Jason Wood, he always says church. Whenever you're saying something you agree with, like church. All right. Hey, Coco, church. Need more playmakers. Yeah. And Marvin Mims, God bless him. I love the kid. He reminds me of Emmanuel Sanders. And young Emmanuel Sanders, remember, for 4 years, Emmanuel never had a 100-yard game with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 4 years, never had a 100-yard game. But I love Emmanuel Sanders. But damn it, Emmanuel knew how to run routes. Marvin Mims isn't getting open on anything except to go. So that's the case. Kyle talks about the odds. Never tell me the odds. I just had to quote Han Solo. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it'll be pretty good if they win out, Kyle. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure some article or some tweet has it somewhere. But, like, yeah, if they win out, if they get 10 wins, then you're looking at, like, a pretty good chance. Probably, 70% or whatever. It really would have helped had, I mean, the Steelers would have won to beat the Colts, whatever, and Baltimore's run away with that division. But, like, the Colts winning didn't help. The Bengals winning didn't help. So you have some situations where you could have got some help today in these Saturday games, which I don't like, by the way, except for the playoffs. Wild card weekend, love Saturday games. Saturday, man, what? You're gonna have a Broncos game, like, what? Saturday? Anyway, Wes asking if the draft is deep at receivers. Yes, deep at receiver and offensive tackle. So just because of that, Eddie says Steelers losing helped. Yeah, but Indy won. So that's the problem. Like, Indy won. So that sucks. Rocks stink. I was talking about the Colorado Rockies, not beautiful Roxborough, where I live. Screens haven't worked all year. Why keep doing them? 2nd and 15 isn't the way to go. Okay, but there's multiple types of screens. There's wide receiver screens, there's tight end screens, there's fullback screens, there's regular running back screens and flats, wheel routes. Like, these concepts build on each other, right? So while I agree with Rock stinks, like, okay, screens don't work all the time. They're very odd in the way they set up their screens and their running back screens. But where's the DT play? Right? Demaryius Thomas, we all love him, and God rest his soul. I was saying on one of the shows, I was going through my phone the other day, just through my contacts, and I saw Demaris's name and his number, and I got sad. I was like, God bless America. Damn it. Why we got to lose him so young, man? DT was a great, great man, and cared about his family and his friends and the community. Anyway, I get off track to just go back to the wide receiver screens. Where the hell are those? Where are those? We have the Marvin Mims end around. Where's the screen? Like, where's the screen that turns into a flat that then turns into a wheel? Like, it's evolution. Like, so certain screens aren't working. There's multiple types of screens. There's middle screens. There's the God bless. I'm about ready to cuss. There's God blessed shovel pass. Where's that at? Right? Where's the old Dan Reeves play? Like, come on. So the screens don't work the way they're running them, but run other screens and then set that up to now it's a flat route and then now it's a wheel route. So because it's going to look like a screen, now I'm running a wheel and it's a touchdown. That's how you set it up. Where's the double screen, right? Where you set up a screen to this side and then flip around. Oh, now it's actually a screen on this side. Where's that play? Where's the creativity? Russ can run those plays. Russ can't run the sale concepts that Sean Payton wants to run. I don't know why people fight that, but that is the truth. Seek the truth and speak the truth. Only 56 minutes in before I said that. So it's like Russ can run those plays, set them up and run them. He does throw low and behind on the running back screens. But again, wide receiver screen, tight end screen, middle screen, like multiple different screens. The lack of creativity is, I don't want to say it's Sean Payton taking his ball and going home, but you see in the lack of creativity how much Sean Payton doesn't trust his quarterback. So the eternal conversation, like Russ can do it. Let's go, Russ. Somebody on, again, Twitter, God bless, I should just get off Twitter. Not because of Elon. But someone on Twitter is like, I'm glad you're coming around on Russ. I was like, what? Coming around on Russ? He's not running Sean Payton's offense. How am I coming around on it? Just be like, hey, there's moments you can make him special, but you have to set them up. You can't set up these deep shots. You got to set them up. 78 Leadhead says blocking is garbage on the screens we attempt. Eddie says they need to run more with Samaje as the starter. Eddie also says Russ should roll out more. Where's the no mistake Jake offense? Where's the rollouts and the bootlegs? You can move the pocket. Sean Payton did that for Drew Brees. So again, I'm not saying he's taking his ball and going home, but there are things that he did for Drew Brees that he won't do for Russell Wilson. And I just go, why? Is he mad because Russ can't throw a slant consistently? Is he mad that Russ can't throw a screen worth a damn? Running back screen, that is. I'm still saying tight end wide receiver screen. Anyway. Why? This is Sean Payton. This is his play calling. Like, he moved the pocket for Drew Brees. He made passing lanes for Drew Brees based on the timing and the rhythm of the offense. That's why football's beautiful, man. I sound like Snowball from Clerks. Like, it's beautiful because your footwork matched the routes and their footwork, and they get open when you're hitting your hitch, and you can move the pocket and you can create a passing lane for Russ to where he's going to go. This happened for Drew Brees. It is not happening at all for Russell Wilson. You did it with Jake Plummer. You didn't need the passing lanes necessarily because Jake isn't short. And talk about one of the coolest guys ever, by the way. I feel Egad. I feel bad for ever defending Jay Cutler on the old No BS Broncos postgame show. And Mike Evans and I, and of course, Evans, ever the contrary, would take the Jake Plummer side, and I would take the Jay Cutler side. Because, hey, you'll be shocked to know I wanted the first rounder to play. And now that I look back on it, I was like, wow, I should have just stuck with Jake because I like Jake. Jake's cool, man. Jake's cool. Good dude. Real good dude. Go live. I'm not live on Twitter. I thought I was live on Twitter. I just checked my Twitter. Take the power back. Anyway, 2024 is Jeudy's last year. Yes, Jeudy is uncuttable. And you're not really going to get much in trade. That's why the best thing for the Broncos is to have Jerry Jeudy work out. Here comes Fred. This one hurts. So many bad contracts. So many bad contracts. And that's going to get pinned on George Payton. So I was asked about Vance Joseph earlier, like, who did Vance Joseph? Okay. I could see this team. And if they miss the postseason, I won't be mad. I'll be disappointed. Like I'm disappointed today. Want to make the postseason, want to make a run, kick some ass. Let's go. But if they don't make the postseason, you're going to figure out your quarterback. I think it's Russ and a rookie next year, a first-round rookie. And then you're probably firing George Payton and putting Kai Harley in place, assistant GM with the Saints. That's a guess. No Lassie Bark or inside information, but I'm just guessing. We'll see if that happens. But Fred brings it up. I mean, this team is hamstrung with terrible contracts. And that's just what you have. 78 Leadhead also says we need to draft defensive lineman bad. Yes. That defensive, and again, Zach Allen. Richard asks, what happened to my cool hair? It's still here. There. It's late at night, and I've been wearing a hat all day, Eddie. So there, I'll just try to make my hair look somewhat presentable. Although, looks like I need to take a shower. Anyway, Eddie also says need to tight end. Yep, that's right. And now on Twitter, it tells you when people join. So, hi, Ann. Boom, joined. That's right. Claydo joined. Peace. What's up? Michael says, too bad they traded Alberto. I mean, there's another mistake. Non-Point has a song, another mistake. And it's what I think when I think of these things like an Alberto. Hell, I'm looking at the Zach Allen deal. I was like, is that another bad contract? Is that another mistake? Zach Allen's made some plays here and there, but the way he's paid, he needs to be like almost unstoppable. The way he's paid, he needs to be incredibly disruptive, and he's not as disruptive as he needs to be. And again, nicest guy ever, whatever I have to say. He's not real good talking to the media. I think he just doesn't like talking to us, which is fine. You don't have to love us. Just could you answer some questions, please? But Zach Allen, not in the box score. Am I getting that right? I'll go to NFL GSIS just in case. That's a stat service. Okay, so I'm just gonna like triple check this thing because there's ESPN's box score, and I'm looking for Zach Allen, and I've got nothing on the list. So either I'm totally missing it or something. Okay, yeah, log me in. Anyway, like, so if I talk about like, hey, you need playmakers on the defensive line, and the guys that you paid, you need to get production from them, and you just didn't do that. The Broncos were a little bit better on third down, 5 of 13. Of course, 0 for 11. Can't get much worse than that. But like, yeah, this is weird. This is very odd. Very odd indeed. Defense there. I'm clicking on defense. Zach Allen. Oh, he did have one quarterback hit. Okay, one quarterback hit. No tackles, no assists, no sacks, no batted passes. One quarterback hit. All that money. One quarterback hit. Okay, that sucks. Like, sorry. And again, he doesn't like talking to the media anyway, so he'll be fine. I'll be fine. This is the reality of the situation. You overpaid a guy who's not producing. I like Zach Allen. I wish he was better to talk to in the locker room, whatever. But you didn't pay for that. You didn't pay for zero production. And Bobby says, just because you're not in the box score does not mean you're not disruptive. That's very true, Bobby. But point to me the plays that Zach Allen made today. They don't exist. And I agree with you on the box score thing, right? But as I'm going through what I saw and then again driving home for half the game, like what I listened to, didn't really hear his name called. And you can be disruptive, and that's why disrupted drop back rate, which includes putting a quarterback under duress, pressure. It includes quarterback hits, which he did have one. It includes batted passes, which are a disrupted drop back. Your disrupted drop back rate, and the Broncos are among the best in the league. For Zach Allen, hasn't been there. So, yeah, I agree with Bobby, but let's talk honestly about Zach Allen needs to be better. That's not out of bounds saying that. I agree here. DJ Jones did play better today, more disruptive on the inside, but he's been disappointing this season. He's just getting older. Big guy getting older. Happens to all of them. I remember when Pot Roast, got a little older there. Terrence, I loved that T-Night. Loved doing Terrence Knight and Show back on the old 102.3 ESPN days. Speed kills. That's right. Lack of skill position players. O-line sucks at pass protection. Yeah, and Sam Laporta destroyed it. Get yourself an Iowa tight end, everybody. Quarterback room next year is Russ and a rookie, I believe. Payton likes to overpay players. We have no bookends. Reality. Bobby's on the money there. Missing Benito. I said missing Benito was a big thing. I don't care if he's a rotational player. The dude comes in playing like his hair's on fire. I mean, and Leadhead says like, I don't know if it would have mattered too much. I believe it would have. It would have been better with Nick Benito. Doesn't mean they would have won, but it would have been better with Nick Benito. You would have gotten Goff off his spot. That's what you need to do. Yeah, and Fred sums it up the right way. Richard asks, Cecil, you're the man. Can you get you in the war room for the 2024 draft? I do consult for teams at times. I've never worked for the Broncos. I would love it though. And I've always said, like, I would love to be a pro scout, meaning that I watch other teams' practice squads because I already do that anyway. And then, pluck when you're able to pluck those, a Todd Davis, right? Todd Davis with the Saints, you pluck him away. Linebacker Brandon Marshall, Jaguars trying to, sneak him through to practice squad, you pluck him away. Those type of finds. You find a Todd Davis, you found a playmaker. You found a linebacker, Brandon Marshall. You found a playmaker. I've always loved those stories of plucking from other teams, right? But I appreciate the support. I am not smarter than George Payton. I think George Payton is a very good scout. I don't think George Payton is a good GM. Okay? So when I point out stuff, it's not because I'm better. I know everything. I've had misses. I will have misses. I promise all of you that no one in the media, because no one will, no one in the Denver media will work harder on the NFL draft than me. That's my promise to you. I promise when I have a miss, I'm going to tell you about it. When I have a hit, I'm going to tell you about it. We're just going to talk about it. I'm not better than the scouts and GMs, but I will work harder than anyone in the media because honestly, most people in the media don't pay attention to the draft properly. And most people in the media don't know football. I think it was probably my biggest realization. And I realized this early on, back even on the 760 The Zone days, taking down memory lane, when I was in the media, or first off in radio, and I would hang around with these guys, big names, and I would talk to them about football off air. And you just realize, like, wait a second, they don't know football. Like, that's weird. But it is what it is. Some people, personality or looks or whatever, like, get them on air and all those sorts of things. Not that I'm jealous or anything, but I just, tell you the real about it because, I take a lot of pride. I want more people like Andrew Mason in the local media. You know why? Mace makes me better. You know why? I make Mace better because we're both working our ass off trying to figure out more about football. And again, doesn't mean we're right and know everything. It just means that man makes me work harder because I want to know more than he does. And he knows a lot. I want to be better on the draft. And he puts his work in on the draft. But there's a ton of people in the media that have no idea about the draft, that go to the Senior Bowl as some sort of like vacation, And I've said it a million times. It's local media, it's national media, where you go to the Senior Bowl to play grab ass or, go drink. Let's go to Veets and get drunk. Woo! And I'll tell you this, you got some loose lips in the NFL for sure when you get some of that liquid soup, that liquid courage, right? But I don't go to the Senior Bowl so I can get hammered in Alabama. Not to say I haven't done that, but it's like I go to the Senior Bowl to work. And that's why I want more people to take the draft seriously, because it is a key piece. This year, whether it's Jaden Daniels or what have you, but this year, I believe I'm going to see the Broncos quarterback of the future at the Senior Bowl. Who wouldn't want to be there? Seriously. Who wouldn't want to be there? Yet I guarantee me, Mace, and a few other local media members will be there. Everybody should be there. Everybody should be there, especially because I do believe Jaden Daniels. I'm going to see the Broncos quarterback of the future, and I'm going to be excited for that. All right. Let's see. Aha, there we go. Broncos Syndicate. What's up, Gage? Appreciate that. One of the good ones right there. Go check out Broncos Syndicate here on YouTube there as well. Gage puts in the work and he listens. A lot of young guys don't put in the work and don't listen. Gage does both of those things. That's why he's a rising star in this industry. Keep an eye on that kid right there. This kid right here. Okay. Square Biz. That's right. And he says, just an all-around bad performance. That's right, Gage. Just an all-around bad performance. That's for sure. Let it get on with tight end, not name no fans. Yeah, I mean, Michael, I appreciate that. Thank you. We're missing the point. Josey and Alex are liabilities. That's right. It's very true. And they continue to be so. That's right. Do I trust Sean Payton to select the right quarterback? I trust him to select his quarterback. Sean Payton will want to prove himself right. So whoever that quarterback is, even if they're not, let's say he drafts a Kenny Pickett-like player. I don't want to pick on Kenny Pickett. He's banged up, but Kenny Pickett's not real good. I believe Joe Flacco is one touchdown away from beating Kenny Pickett for touchdowns on the season. Flacco's played like a game, 2 games. Okay, so let's say Sean Payton drafts this year's version of Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett was the only first-round quarterback that year, a couple years ago. And, I had him graded around that range, but mostly a late first-rounder. At the end of the day, he's Derek Carr if he works out. That's not good. But if Sean Payton drafts that guy, you know who's going to get every opportunity to prove that he's right? You know who's going to get every opportunity to prove that he can play? It's that quarterback. So do I trust Sean Payton to find the right quarterback? I trust him to find his quarterback. And Russell Wilson is not his quarterback. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. Jason, the pot stoner degenerate, says, is this still live? Hell yeah, brother. When am I going to get up to Greeley and get that, you owe me a 7-Eleven burrito or a Slurpee? What are we getting? Oh, no. Jason says, what about the Raiders? How are you from Greeley? Well, you're not from Greeley, but you live in Greeley and you're a Raiders fan, Jason. By the way, I totally forgot this until I saw him post on my timeline. This is like sick brag, bro. I'm Facebook friends with Antonio Pierce, and I totally forgot about that. I haven't talked to Antonio in a couple of years, at least, if not longer. But I just saw I was running through my Facebook timeline, just scrolling, probably looking for comic books. I buy comic book collections, everybody. If you can't tell, a little bit of a nerd. Anyway, so I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I saw this Raiders thing. I was like, well, Jason isn't on Facebook, and I generally hate Raiders fans. And then I was like, oh, that's Antonio Pierce. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Anyway, it's good man. It's good man. Still hate the Raiders. Anyway. Cue the Chuck D. That's right. Please no noodle arm like Pickett. All right. Oh yeah, I got the pawn shop up in Greeley. Check out comics. Anyway, I'm at Cecil Lammey if you have comic books to sell or Broncos to talk about. My life is kind of nerdy and simple. I love my family. I love football, and I love comic books. I love talking to you on this show. So thank you guys. As we grow our YouTube channel, I want you to do a few favors for us. First off, denversports.com. We don't have a stupid paywall, okay? You have to pay to read my articles. Nope. No paywall. Come to our site, read our stuff. We got great stuff on the Abs, great stuff on the Rockies, great stuff on the Nuggets, great stuff on the Broncos, great stuff on the Buffs, and anything else. I'll be writing about the NFL draft, of course. We've got our senior Broncos writer, Andrew Mason. Got you covered, okay? All Denver sports in one shop, one-stop shop. denversports.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter Monday through Friday, hot to your inbox every single morning. You have a life. We don't. Trust me, we don't. So check out denversports.com and that free daily newsletter, the Denver Sports Daily. And the chat room is cracking me up. I can't put what they put on the screen next to me, but the chat room is funny. And you guys cuss a lot too. So if you don't cuss, I can put it up on the screen. Anyway, please help us out in growing our YouTube channel. It really, really means a lot. If you've enjoyed the content, not just this show, but Coffee Break or Mile High Hoops or anything, Orange and Blue Today, whatever, like, please subscribe to the channel. But if you like and you comment below, you've commented in the chat room, but make sure you comment below. And then that helps the YouTube algorithm. It puts us in front of more people on YouTube. So there you go. Charles, man after my own heart. Thousands of comics, millions of sports cards, collect, buy, and sell. Charles, hit me up on Twitter or just email me, Lammey at footballguys.com. That's Lammey at footballguys.com. You're selling comics, I'm buying comics because I am a super nerd. Anyway, Eddie loves it. I love it, Eddie. Keep the spirit. Believe in the Mile High Magic, baby. Don't let it dut you down. This team has flipping sucked today, but do not let it rob you of the joy that this team can still bring you. There's still 3 games left. And screw you, New England, and screw you, Chargers, and screw you, Raiders. Whatever I got to say, corporate, don't send me an email, please. Like, forget all of you guys at the end of the season. Broncos are going to kick some ass in these next 3 games, and you're going to put this game behind you, and you're going to roll forward and do the best chance you can to get to the postseason. You don't believe? Do you believe? All right. Yep. 3-0, baby. Let's make it happen. I'm Cecil Lammey saying, be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated. Stay tuned. And would you please, oh, too many great comments. Would you please go ahead and stay frosty,